as President of the United States, I believe that foreign aid is unconstitutional. Amen. And I would eliminate all foreign aid, period, including to Israel. I believe that foreign aid is antithetical to constitutional government. I think it's harmful to our overall peace and harmony in the world. I think we create more enemies than we do friends. We prop up despots, dictators, Marxists, communists. Much of the aid that we would want to go to people in those countries that are hurting or in need or whatever the case may be usually winds up in the hands of the despots and the Marxists who hate us. How many times have we propped up some two-bit, tin-horn dictator only then later on to ask our brave men and women of our military to go into that same country, risk their lives to take him out? Case in point, Osama bin Laden was put in power by our own Central Intelligence Agency. What did I say?
You said Osama bin Laden.
Saddam Hussein. Both Osama bin Laden as well. I got it right. Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein both were helped and aided by our own Central Intelligence Agency. So, we create what we think is a friend this year, and then 3 years later, 4 years later, that so-called friend becomes one of our mortal enemies. So the whole concept of foreign aid, I think, is unconstitutional, and I would not engage in it. Israel. I do believe that our policies toward Israel over the last several decades have been more harmful than helpful for Israel. For example, are you aware that for every dollar that we send to Israel, we send $4 to Israel's enemies? Now, will somebody please tell me how we are being a blessing, to use the biblical term, a blessing to Israel by arming and equipping and sending 4 times more foreign aid to her enemies than we do to her? That makes no sense to me. The other thing we do is we dictate policy to Israel to the point that Israel is not even able to defend herself without our permission. We require her to give up land for peace, which is a monstrous policy. If you've ever been to the Middle East, and I have, and I've seen what Israel faces there in that region of the world, and I understand the volatility of that West Bank, and I understand the advantage that her enemies have there to her north, and to say to her, to demand of her that in order to get something written on paper so that an American president can get a lot of good publicity back home from the reporters in New York City, that we're going to ask you to make your country more volatile to your enemies and more vulnerable to your enemies, is absolutely nonsensical. And I don't think that that's being a blessing to Israel when we try to interject our policy into what is best for her interest. She knows what's best for her. She knows how to defend herself. She has more nuclear capability, more missile capability than any other region, any other country in the region. If given the free rein to defend herself, Israel knows how to defend herself. She has proven that time and time again. Quite frankly, I think the best thing that the United States could do to help Israel is to simply butt out of her business and let her take care of her sovereign affairs.